Island is such a great name. I think it's the best name I've ever heard for an environmental
I
organization.
stole it from Margaret Mead.
Oh, good for you.
Just, she calls it the Island Earth. That didn't cost much to switch it. Earth Island. When necessary, I just go into sex because people like to talk about sex. And remember, everybody here, you, and everybody in the audience, all the rest of it, are here because there was a patient egg and one lucky sperm out of the swarm. Those two elements knew everything, down to how you build immunities that we're going to need to know. And how did that happen? Was that invested by Bill Gates? No. By the Industrial Revolution? By the Renaissance? By religions? It was here long before they were. And it works. And then you go on to the further extreme, that everything we have that works is directly related, with no mistakes, no errors, to the beginning of life on Earth 3.5 billion years ago. Lots of things fell by the wayside. But what started then, and is part of you, has never failed for 3.5 billion years. That wasn't a technological job by anybody, but the force that I admire is just the creative force. Whatever you want to call it, whatever your religion may be, that's where it's at. And it's worth not messing around with it. It's worked so well that I will go along with, I guess, with Pope, Alexander Pope, the final statement in his essay on man. And this was before the Industrial Revolution, just before. Whatever is right. It had come to us from way back there. It is here now. It is working. It is right. Stop screwing it up. But he didn't add that line. I would have added it. Growth is guilty till proved innocent. You can go right on and make that bold statement. There is nobody in this room that can prove growth is innocent. If you want capitalism, you think it's a good idea, why not try it? We haven't tried it yet. You can't try it when you ignore natural capital, which is the biggest capital item we've got. And you don't think well or manage well or have a lasting corporation if you ignore that fact, and they all ignore it. Waste has got to be stopped. Nature wastes nothing. We waste almost everything. And that's where I move on, that we must be the youngest species, as Bernadette said, because everything else seems to know what to do. And basically, in our souls, we know what to do. And soul is another word, I guess, for conscience. And corporations are not required to have that. They're given the rights of people, but not the requirement that they have conscience. So if we can get ecological conscience into corporate behavior, into church behavior, into university behavior, into investor behavior, we get that ecological conscience spread around, I think we'll make it. But we can't, if we have ecological conscience, assume that if we can put 6 billion people on the earth and counting, because all we need is more technology, which has already done this to us. I just got the numbers recently, they're old numbers, but when we got into the Industrial Revolution, from then until now, that's a period of 250 years, we multiplied by a factor of 100 what we could do with tools and energy. And now they're thinking about going for another 100. I said, forget it. Back off. Pick up the Italian word. Enough doesn't sound enough. But in Spanish or Italian, it works. Basta.
Ah, really? Good. Yeah, enough. What is it? I mean, the heads of corporations, some of them I think maybe are becoming a bit more conscious than they were before. Most of them because they've been caught doing something bad, so they're sort of dragged kicking and screaming into the light. These are people. They have kids. Don't they care about a future? I mean, what?
Well, I just criticize that they're not being brought kicking and screaming into anything but denial. They deny the problem's existence. The oil companies do. Certainly Detroit does. Whatever agriculture does. You look through it. They deny there's a problem. Who cares about global warming? The scientists haven't agreed yet. Well, when you get all the scientists agreeing on something, it's too late for whatever you were thinking about. Well, my favorite game with scientists, if they feel pretty sure, is to say, well, what do you feel very sure about right now that you think is most likely to be laughed at in 25 years? And that sobers them up immediately. We've tried the League of Nations, we've tried the UN, now we think that, well, we can get rid of the UN with NATO. We keep avoiding solutions because they're not quite comfortable enough, or they interfere with productivity and profitability. And we haven't quite understood that those words are now to be considered banal and be changed. Those don't work. And the profitability, the very opening of Schumacher's book 30 years ago, Small is Beautiful, attacked productivity right away. That we've missed the message. We don't get it. Productivity, what are the products? How do you get the ivity out of them? You take the profit and the product and you spread it around and forget to do anything with it, the earth can rehandle. No restoration, none of the things that nature worked out. Nature recycles everything. Nothing is wasted. They figured out a system, and if you don't know what the system is, you haven't looked far enough because it's there. That's why things are recycled, including seasons like spring. That's one of the things I like, the recycling of spring. The plants know what to do, with no help from the audience. And I was thinking about this wonderful quote from Lauren Isley. We are compounded of dust and the light of a star. Wow. That just those few words, and you've covered what's ever happened ever since whichever Big Bang you want to admire.
I have a friend who's a physicist who said he doesn't think it was a big bang at all, but a big blossoming.
Well, that's right. I say it another way, that God was listening to the scientists talked about the Big Bang, and God leaned over and said, "Which Big Bang?" We're not a spaceship. We're certainly traveling and all that, but we don't have to worry about travel arrangements. It's all done for us.
That's right. I think it was Emerson who said, we rest in the loving arms of the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Essence all around us.
Yeah. But we have Earth to stand on, too. The combination is useful.
Very useful. The compounding.
We can't really understand infinity. That's too much to grasp. Infinite, anything. I know it's got to have a beginning and an end. And my religion says, who says? If it had a beginning, what started it? We have proved we can take the place apart. We know if we look that we can put a lot of things together. Or at least we can step out of the way and let nature do it. And we can restore natural systems if we just submerge our ego a little bit and try. We can certainly restore human systems, and since we invented them all. And we weren't thinking the way we can think now. I'm optimistic about that. The brains are here, the minds are here. It's an incredible instrument. And we think ours is good. And I think there are other species that wish to hell we'd not thought so. But they know what to do and we don't. But we can find out. When Amory Lovin said electronics move faster than protoplasm, I can't argue that, but I can say protoplasm has more fun. Put the Bible on a shelf for 20 years and read the earth. It's a hell of a good show. It's in full color, stereo, sound, and color. Aromas to beat, to add to that. And a message that'll take us a while to understand, but we can't begin to unless we take the time to read it. How the hell did a bird make a feather? Where did all that design work out? As you look at it, and I every time I look at it, here's the downy inside for insulation, outside the strength, the design so that when the bird lifts its wings, there's air. When it closes, there's pressure. And then, since birds of a feather flock together, those feathers have the right color in the right place, exactly the right place, not just thrown around scattered. Right on that feather where it needs to be is the band of this, the band of that, the band of this. Nice design. And if you just look around anywhere, we're surrounded with it. Remember the Emery story about energy, cement. We make cement something like 1900 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe 1800, who cares? The hen makes it at 103. The hen's cement is stronger than ours per unit. Then a clam does better than that. Creates all this at the temperature of ocean water. Why do we take all that heat? What's our problem? Why haven't we figured out these bright guys? This is the way you make it. And I guess the only reason is they're afraid what would happen. They would cement the damned earth, all of it.
So instead of subduing nature, subduing the earth, should we be mimicking nature?
Find out every means you can devise to protect it. Stop the destruction.